Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Showed you Claare na Gael as Baviliam Shuish Altacha. Hello and welcome to this programme, which is called Claare na Gael. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
I've heard tell of owl Bobby Bob.
And it's my pleasure to present Claare na Gael with a thread of it in the English language as Leis Sna Eliagy Sagilg, and with another thread of it in the Manx Gaelic, Chinyan Amera, the mother tongue of Aalin Vannin, the Isle of Man. As Banach and Jurish. Well, David Robertson has been giving us the history, as it was known or thought to be known in 1791, of the history of Rushen Abbey. And he talks of the early days of humility, simplicity and hard work. But, he says, there's been a descent into what he calls monastic pride, luxury and indolence. Te naich der a Pall Mall Gazette jitgus na gerchen bergálach, die inno art machon moda alde ter Repeal. Te Lord Rish Freledes and Thomas Bilder. She cockney to Thomas Bilder a chydynum corre ber a blash shen on shaw. Ach hoiach, molia solia de FIONA McARDLE rai blina bananen. Yesterday afternoon at the Celtic Congress meeting in Peel, there was a warm, spontaneous round of applause as FIONA McARDLE entered the room, following recognition of her the previous afternoon being awarded the Rai Blina Vananen. And you can join that ceremony here in Shachley this Thursday evening at 6. Many congratulations to Fiona, and we begin with a song by her. Tashu Geistjach Rish Radio Vannin, Stashu na Nashun, Viskuller Skiljena was Dulish, Aalin Vannin.
Na strooanyn aalin ta drainage ons 3, ik skolagan as morgen en quail graiachen en gree, ag jog vai as ledger em a chree goil a ren, ag a shean as the varishin a cregan at a then. Eg a virgin clusho ta castul ma grai, te trog each leis uegach eg enach duna hai. I can storm a processional as diamond and gialdui. She's dura de shultern gaurasani. Ega clushed howard shen boltayin lisaner. Tan angel ta get like na surges spare. De bechi meram ons marayakan. Vegas da han taludu. Olia welche kein Litsch ljórische Schleimerlau. Egevan Jane Clushaw, Tanau and Basray, Kid Valong on Fushin Ninja, as the Shakarich Damai, Lesha Bradagan, Nulu Benald, as Dolan and Glay, Gray and Kiaull, Shinya Millish, as Gunnan Ligavoy, O Targis Druckenberger, Ta shula macha brau, screw him rish ma van in graiach, walla beat the first view. Ta mail jagged him of violacha, ach a chen ya grey, hane, marvasinal kirkle doin, cred hemorrhage a creep.
FIONA McARDLE, RBV, singing the words written by Colin Jerry, his Manx Gaelic version of the popular traditional song The Streams of Lovely Nancy, na strooanyn Nancy Ellen, perhaps na strooganyn Nancy Ellen if you're in the south. David Robertson strives to be fair to Rushen Abbey. However highly we may condemn that plenitude of power with which the dignitaries of the church were formerly entrusted, however justly we may accuse them of ambition, indolence and sensuality, Let us not obliterate their virtues by remembrance of their crimes, but recollect that from the barbarity of Goths and Vandals, science, with her beauteous train, sought an asylum amid monastical gloom and superstition, from whence she afterwards burst on an admiring world in all her light and beauty. Nor were these institutions unfavourable to humanity, considering the ferocity of the ages to which we now allude. The stranger frequently blessed the hospitality and the poor the bounty of the monks, while the sick were visited and the oil of gladness poured into the wounds of the afflicted. The monks of Rushen Abbey were of the Cistercian order, and were not inferior to their brethren in hospitality and beneficence. Nish eshvanshe, te kieded gol toyach des braiach jim na tau giri. Niu lai dau gobble de lord mechon cushion persoonach roos lunjechen. Te mish goren shiver okkes na maudi alders na jacquelinas na hyenichen se glen closine. Roos me wel mi gol toyach de corfation arusen. Kreit au meidel corfation aru, rem mi braiach, as mish mienach de gharee ons gien mai son lord. Leis boele jou erchion leis lorg, shen onnach. Leis skribe jen clishenach, shen verelje, tuit de denje seres de urgedok shiraput de hespenes on de murnenok. Genel mi huish na in gidder. Boele leis lorg, ros me wel mi kiaustiach on a generok. Ach, ta mi furchten derre te dan oile sherryes kaffeeak man de bege, ros me vim corre bij skribe clishen. Ach, na jai, door den eerste valsoenach, te raam jen onduches aan dingen, as tons na bein shen. Now, the Breton Manx project NEEAR NESAN will be playing 4 concerts in Brittany this coming week, but with Adam Rhodes sitting in for Mira Royal. Well, here is the original lineup with Mira, along with David Kilgallen and Lochlanda and Thomas Moisson, playing at the Centenary Centre in Peel. English to millish gharee, Gael, Bram.
Dis donc avant ma broque à l'on a violette arrêtée dans son jet d'un jeu ferrant, j'ai la violette mort. La violette mort, dans son jet d'un jeu ferrant, j'ai la violette mort. Avant ma broque à l'on a j'ai la violette. Avant de barraque à mon don, violette arrêtée dans son jet d'un jeu ferrant, j'ai la violette mort.
David Kilgallen, Lorglanda, Meera Royal and Thomas Moisson. But with Adam Rhodes filling in for Meera Royal, NEEAR NESAN will be playing 4 dates in Brittany from the 9th to the 12th of February. Sjogos, chit as braach jim feesten mechana del alem, as mish like de vee grangenach, bij en lie font shened, de beiden ligget het vee kustig hoiach rosh magin en fregert. Genee tre renu braach jim like de vee krejach, de bevailiam aus braach jim scruter vee kiddet de vraach feesten jim. Gin snee, nach dinch mi us de vee gesnuren. Dinch. As tre doorte de jinnach kor pleint naiem son jinno image dra Claare, ver shen boele mi ergion. Ach, rennen lie von karige shen. Herau mi son kaga, ma so durri mi vias, ren mi lesja golem nut an amodi older as lion and as tiger and jinno. Ach, graai ye de gree, nisht an shan wen chorsjach glautjin vonag de chorren ek on hem, as strulle maag mi lesje jan fash days shen ek, as tamia fort, ik ga maar lesje dim jai shen riester. Ach, graai ye de gree, nisht an shan wen chorsjach glautjin vonag de chorren ek on hem, as strulle maag mi lesje jan fash days shen ek, as tammy for de me fieb, for de you skriebe me gleeschen gegien as taugiri, as a jinno getting eer gurnel machasem. According to an ancient writer, whom Robertson quotes, they are accounted the almoners of the poor. The election of their abbot was generally sanctioned by the approbation of the abbot of Furness, to whom not only this monastery, but perhaps even the bishopric of the island, was in some degree subject. And here he gives us a footnote which says, the following account of this abbey is taken from Tanner's Notitia Monastical, and he quotes, Rushen Cistercian Abbey, a religious foundation, is said to have been begun here AD 1098 by MacManus, governor of the isle. Olaf, king of Man, giving some possessions here to the Abbey of Furness in Lancashire. Ivor or Evan, abbot there, built a Cistercian abbey here, AD 1134, to the honour of the Blessed Virgin, and made it subordinate to Furness. AD 1192, the monks removed to Douglas, where they continued 4 years, and then returned to Rushen, and flourished there till some time after the suppression of those houses in England. for a Tumpath, played by Welsh band CALAN, from whom we'll hear a little later. Stasiwn yn asiwn neu, siod yw radio fanning, as yn sio se Claare na Gael fys gullar sgiliena. Mish Robert gytyn carsol, Robert a carslach.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Well, in that quote, in Robertson's footnote, we can see the source of what he's already told us. In fact, he was rather paraphrasing that in some of his early sentences. His text continues now. Many of the kings of the Isles being interred in this abbey, it was not only liberally endowed, but richly decorated. In the year 1316 it was, however, plundered by Richard le Mandeville, who, with a numerous train of Irish, landed at Ronaldsway on Ascension Day, defeated the Manx and ravaged their country. However, after a month's residence, he re-embarked with his people for Ireland. Now, this is taken from the Chronicles of the Kings of Man and the Isles. The battle was fought on Barul, and according to the Chronicles, the Irish advanced in two bodies against the Manxmen till they came along the side of Ward Fell, that's Barul, to an open spot, where was the residence of one John Mandeville. Here the hostile parties met and fought. So we seem to have a John Mandeville on one side and a Richard le Mandeville on the other side. Imi rod les de feesten, te vissem na touwtje der, a mode al de skepit shen. Len gaat, bevailja mus cor dou de warler, inch dou a genaagd rennet tagert, as tre te vissem na nigen, jem shirre horst de grei na touw sors munjenair, de vee an orjay, as een achter liat de jig kiaull a kledden goes. Gart de mai weisje, Seanish machionen kledden skiel. Van mode al de shen was in greirish beursikker, ver jay na 3-4 lier henk van Norlan, gus shap jamrach, as rentjen kjonne jamrach de shen shapmoer ons lunning, as vad delal ons been alde, as muso, ten Thomas Bilder grey Rushen naich der. Tan mode al de shen was in greirish beursikker, ver jane 3-4 lier henk van Norland geschap jamrach, as rentjen kjonnige weisen, kier bline de henne. Mode al de jesjes, immerke heen de mai, de ren liu jenne borre de hit der. Te yin de smoem de naeshen vagiri de gas na maag, sha becher bielius en in it. Ach, shenne, genadu cor barant ons modi olde, huish de smoene touw ons brein. Na keur Gael duizend weisje, ren benaisje tombrisje stjacher, les gere ginnel. Now, many of you may remember Hector Gilchrist, who used to sing and play a big white guitar, lovely singer, interpreter of Robert Burns songs particularly, and here with Liz Thompson in the duo SELKIE, he sings Rantin, Rovin, Robin.
There was a lad was born in Kyle, but whatna day nor whatna style, and dude it's hardly worth a while to be say nice way Robin, for Robin was a rovin boy, rantin' rovin', rantin' rovin'. Robin was a rovin' boy, a rantin' rovin' Robin. Our monarch's hen must hear but yet was 25 days begun. 'Twas then a blast of January wind blew Hansel in on Robin, for Robin was a rovin' boy, rantin' rovin', rantin' rovin'. Robin was a rovin' boy, a rantin' rovin' Robin. The gossip keeketh in his loose, 'cause she wha lives will see the proof. Robin was a roving boy, a rantin' rovin', Robin. He'll hae misfortunes great and small, but I heard of Ben and Ma. He'll be a credit till us all, we'll all be proud o' Robin. For Robin was a roving boy, rantin' rovin', rantin' rovin'. Robin was a roving boy, a rantin' rovin', Robin. Be sure as 3 times 3 mak 9, I see by ilka score and line. This lad will dearly lure kine, so leaves me on the Robin. For Robin was a roving boy, rantin' rovin', rantin' rovin'. Robin was a roving boy, a rantin' rovin', Robin. Good faith, quo' she, I do to ye gar, the bonny lasses lie us far. But 20 forts ye may war, so blessings on thee, Robin. For Robin was a roving boy, rantin' rovin', rantin' rovin'. Robin was a roving boy, a rantin' rovin', Robin.
Hector Gilchrist singing as part of the duo SELKIE there. Teer vrij larre na been goud, banny meen, wel eschen heen gur is sjaan voor de holde. Ach, en a lade hier bij Jansen. Wel, vantje, wij moest daar luk tre fazige jay, tre van mi klaasjen burre hoyacht. Van mi jinne luk koenlach onze taie bag son puma egg visjing. Ach, tre tam mi klaasjen de gaunster nie as a gullal, henk mi de girach. On shen we bursikker, repe, gurish fair benedict na baren, maar de bege giri kast na makas. Herau mon a sly gul magieten lai shen as fagus day, herauach undinje. Fair, ljauwer, shang, lesh kamag de stroinegge, as feseg virach, lesh vreneg ven nage reine truud. Schilje vuur nieuw enjachtach egge, a soelin jurge, as we sauce de ruwe day, son ve jean de rauw eggesen wat farbit. Voor lauwen en bijna mannen na lauwen egge, as any kourige macht na been douwes tegerij. Vrelede, tau jean de vel na maud, te jean de vel na maud die al de shaw burretje griddenach. Now, this extract from the Chronicles of the Kings of Man and the Isles, which I'm quoting from, is by Professor Peter Andreas Munch, who was the uncle of the painter Edvard Munch. And Professor Munch's translation and extensive commentary makes up volumes 22 and 23, published by the Manx Society in 1874. And Professor Munch continues this episode of the battle on the open ground at Pelau. At the first onset, the Manxmen turned and fled, leaving nearly 40 men dead on the field. The Irish pursued, some on foot, and others on horseback, killing and wounding great numbers, plundering the country of its valuables, and discovering at leisure much money that had been long concealed in various places. They came afterwards to the Abbey of Rushen, which they plundered, seizing both the furniture and the herds and flocks, leaving absolutely nothing. When they'd spent a month in this fashion, they loaded their ships with the choice plunder of the country and returned home. Well, that's the Chronicles of the Kings of Man and the Isles, as translated by Professor Peter Andreas Munch. Now, Breton singer GWENNYN Loire, she sings just as GWENNYN. She was from Rennes originally in Haute-Bretagne, but Brésil, Upper Brittany, where French is the normal language of the day, but the family language, in fact, was Breton. The family later moved to what was the family farm in Finistère in Basse-Bretagne, Brésil. Here she sings Bravig. The song Bravig, performed by Breton singer GWENNYN. Well, back to David Robertson again now. Rushen Abbey with the adjoining lands is now the property of the Deemster. So we're back again to Thomas More, as we heard previously, who in 1791 covered both the north and the south of the island, but by 1794, when Robertson's account was published, a northern Deemster had again been appointed. So he it was, the Deemster Thomas More, who held the property on which Rushen Abbey was standing in 1791. Of Rushen Abbey, Robertson says, "Every vestige of its interior magnificence has disappeared, but the ruins of this venerable monastery still retain an air of gloomy grandeur. The Abbey Bridge is situated in a romantic spot, and by the Manx is esteemed of great antiquity. Now, this is the Crossag Bridge, the Monk's Bridge, as it's also known, standing just north of Rushen Abbey, and it's on the ancient meandering Via Regia, the royal way, along which the former Kings of Man travelled from Ramsey to Castletown, as recorded in the Chronicles of the Kings of Man and the Isles. Fuddy de velle eds, ta Mr. Gray, son chamailiam yn dimmerke ve corrers yn hun. Gedenke de ve corrie, mor van mi treestjeel de jinnige, ach rennie munge en sors de acht moerelach, les biel ledden de fieglen bijna biddach. O, gebeidens my liau, te de Gray. O, weg os my liau, ta Mr. Gray, jinnewaris jay, Smilio de kinjach, crown de gare, de glennen a fieglen och mus tre shibber, as to ledden poga jow eds. Well, she red quech var, ach tre tan a bayan fagan shin lot, rennet lai shees. As tre heimi harish gus bur sicker, renne surrel dau strugen a clishen egg a morve riu. Rennen dunje shen chit harish, a spanny me, na renne cora laustjach on a struge clishen a jan voda olden yes. Gauker ale as mish, stavi te bur sicker. Scumma shen as eshen tamiolach roo. Fellow heen sa churge as mish, as corgim and edem. Well, recently playing at Celtic Connections in Glasgow, that was MEC LIR. And, as we heard before, David Kilgallen and Adam Rhodes will be playing as half of NEEAR NESAN in Brittany this week from the 9th to the 12th.
The Nation Station, Men's Radio.
Siodiw stasiwn na nasiwn radio fannym. As yn sio tasiw geisdiach rys Claare na Gael mer yn pyn robot gydyn cars o robot y carslach.
Have you ever had tell about Bobby Bob?
Son te dunje vis delal ons modi olde and cetera na chara mai de freilederen. Hanel de zeshen, genel mi de kaart se gerge. Ach, tammy en jenu biggin in JQ's jou. As a sen, te trogel soes en edegge gekoortoil as tjarn, as te schuler schul. Ren shan ver sikker tanachten les gien na lug derve a schilje. As esch haie as renne lai sies on zuljen, as rawe erldach de hit maag fein kleden vast de beg. Well, raar, gelees van ees den jiri, ren uljun na modi olde en shaw god tuig der gullernie. Gerau weg och de gullernie gerau peger bi fagestau. Limmerje peger bi is te gien de raui coré mer modebal en jak tjau moei jene gerdigen, ons rede verk. Keurt nog hij mi macht de jien der uit de guljerit kjaart. A sjen mer wei. As esch hen kjoon de gullernie. The Reverend Joseph George Cumming was Vice Principal of King William's College from 1841 to 1856, and during that time he wrote a history of the island. And of the Crossag Bridge, the Reverend Cumming writes this. From its retired situation, fortunately it has been spared improvements or any serious alterations, so that we have here an example of a 13th century bridge, nearly in the same state as it was left by the builders. On account of its picturesque position at the foot of the mill dam, which may have been raised by the Cistercians themselves, it is well worth the notice not merely of the antiquarian, but also of the ordinary tourist. Its breadth in the centre doesn't exceed 3 feet 3 inches in the clear, a space evidently pointing to times when ordinary carts were not in use. One of the arches has been subsequently repaired and a plain semicircular arch substituted for the pointed one. At one end, the western end of the bridge, will be seen a small subsidiary arch, but an original portion of the structure. Now, I mentioned we'd hear more from Welsh band CALAN, and they evidently have a thing about wise men. One of their albums was called Solomon, and this song is called Can a Dyn Doeth, the Wise Man's Song.
sut pawb mor anweledig, haws byd dal y ser I gyd. Na bu ffoi drym a'n rhif, haws bu aros yn yr unfan, na bu ffoi a chalon gyfan. Ond dyma'r geiriau dwedau'r hen ŵr yn y gornel. Dyma'r geiriau, cadw at ffydd ac edrych ymlaen i'r gorwel. Drycha i'r dyfodol. Dydd ro dydd mae pawb yn tyfu, neb yn byw ond pawb yn bodoli. Yr un sgyrsiau yn ailgylchu a'r sigarennau gyd I sbygu, haws byd dal y lleiad arian, na bu i'r merch cofio'n union. Pam y ddaeth I man lle cynta I chalon pyr di sydd o'n aran. Ond dyma'r geiriau dwedau'r hen ŵr yn y gornel. Dyma'r geiriau, cadw at ffydd ac edrych ymlaen i'r gorwel. Drycha i'r dyfodol. Mae dwy galon gyda'r eneth, un yn oer ac un yn gynnes. Un yn gynnes yn ei gari, a'r llall yn oer rhag ofnau golli. Tig ei glywed osgwr a'n dewi, sŵn ei chalon bach yn torri. Pawb yn ddall ond pawb yn gweled, a'r merch sy'n fyw yn farw hefyd. Ond dyma'r geiriau dwedau'r hen ŵr yn y gornel. Dyma'r geiriau, cadw at ffydd ac edrych ymlaen i'r gorwel. Drycha i'r dyfodol.
Bethon Rhiannon, leading Welsh band CALAN, in a song written by her father Hugh, Can a Dyn Doeth, that's the wise man's song. Near the monastery, writes Robertson, is strewn a tombstone of one of the abbots, which is distinguished by the pastoral staff and a broad sword, denoting he had as well temporal as spiritual authority. There is, however, no date or inscription now visible. Before I leave this once hallowed place, it may not be improper to present the reader with a short piece of monastic history, which should be given without any comment, premising only that there are still some vestiges of a subterraneous road leading from the abbey to the castle that seem to confirm what tradition has preserved. In the 13th century, Ivor, a young and gallant knight, was enamoured of the beauteous Matilda. Her birth and fortune were inferior, but his generous mind disdained such distinctions. He loved and was most ardently beloved. The sanction of the king was alone wanting to consummate their happiness. To obtain this, Ivor, in obedience to the custom of the island, presented his bride to Reginald, a gay and amorous prince. Ca dros deg y chlag, hwg mi shiliam y gyd dros my jach mi dy lai. As banny me, ach tre henk mi girach je kedge, shan ver sicker, ta mi fag and de wel na radling and brish, as cast me geert, as de velen cage fallem, as shen ulju ta fissemer son shigeris. We're in pege brie elje fag and beg. We fair jane a gerder and chit time as je tre shen vai kiauliach, tre te fagen mod a moer year chit mach as trut kleien de gerigen. Egen goed slew shen te de grey, a genel machine koen te monage, son gedoort te vogel mechoon den venege tre henke tai, as er awi derbe vis courage mach mechoon a vode hol de skepeel, as we shingen rei gosh fut na hi, shelg bur sicker sa ferk, de rau cunyon egge fagen weg. Ma chred hine, shen de rau a kiauliach, goyle chion. Kaartesh van she Bilder, fudde you cor oors, ons achterbies, ons skepele worde older. Now on James Johanna last Friday, Daniel Quayle played a modern version of the song The Limerick Rake by Pauline Scanlon, a singer from Cork Arena, but I think this is a lovely performance of it by CIARAN BOURKE.
I am a young fellow that's sazy and bold. In Castletown, Connors, I'm very well known. In Newcastle West I spent many an out with Kitty and Judy and Mary. Me parents rebuked me for being such a rake and for spending me time in such frolicsome ways. I ne'er could forget the good nature of Jane, yet a fog would shoot Maratha. My parents had reared me to shake and to mow, to plough and to harrow, to reap and to sow. Me heart being too airy to drop it too low, I set out on a high speculation. On paper and parchment they thought me to write, and in Euclid and grammar they opened my eyes. And in multiplication, in truth I was bright, yet a fog would shoot Maratha. If you chance for to go to the town of Repeal, the girls all around me do flock on the square. Now some offer me apples, and others sweet cake, and they treats me unknowns to their parents. There's one from Askeaton and one from the Pike, and another from Ardagh my heart has beguiled. Though being from the mountings, her stockings are white, and I'd love to be tightening her garters. Now to quarrel for riches I ne'er was inclined, for the greatest the misers they must leave all behind. But I'll purchase a cow that'll never run dry, and I'll milk her be twisting or hauding. John Damer of Shronel had plenty of gold, and Lord Devonshire's treasures are 20 times more. But should they're laid on their backs amidst nettles and stones, yet a fog 'em would shoot Maratha. The old cow could be milked without clover or grass. She'd be pampered on barley, sweet corn and the hops. She'd be warm, she'd be stout, she'd be free in the paps, and she'd milk without spancel or halter. And the man that would drink it, he'd cock his copine, and if anyone laughs, we'll have wigs on the green. And the feeble old hag, she'd get supple and free, at a fog and would shoot Maratha. Now there's some say I'm foolish, there's some say I'm wise, though being fond of the women I think is no crime. Sure, the son of King David, he had 10,000 wives, and his wisdom was highly regarded. I'll till a good garden and work at me ease, and each woman and child could partake of the same. If there'd be war in the cabin, themselves they could blame, yet a fog would shoot Maratha. But now for the future, I think I'll get wise, and I'll marry all those women who acted so kind. Aye, I'd marry them all on the morrow by and by, if the clergy'd agree to the bargain. And then when I'd be old and me soul be at rest, all those children and wives, they could keen at me wake. Aye, they'd all gather round and they'd offer up prayers to the Lord for the soul of their father.
CIARAN BOURKE singing the Limerick Rake, agus fagmid shoot Maratha, and we'll leave that as it is. Well, Vainshir Dorte, leis sorch aurasach the fastage, liam the vodum, achas sems vechus gint buiach leis a smunion. Vaiden son shigeris, man a vod dunje gurret as kiel kionage na bein, koras cheb mai, ons achterby, quoivis cui de gharee bear. Reginald, struck with the beauty and innocence of Matilda, heightened by an air of modesty, immediately, for some pretended crimes, banished Ivor from his presence, and by violence detained the Virgin. Grief and indignation alternately swelled her bosom, till from the excess of anguish she sunk into a state of insensibility. And we'll follow that tale to its conclusion next time. Well, to mark the conclusion of Claare and Gael, this time we go back to a recording which was mentioned on Facebook the other day, originally issued as a cassette by Breton band Fors Penhouse, who play us out with music for Ron de Ludiag. Well, as we heard, Chris Pearson is here with your Sunday chill out from 7 till 9, and at 9 it's Judith Lay with Sundown. Don't forget you can hear the ceremony recognising FIONA McARDLE as Rai Blina Van Annen. That'll be in Shachley this Thursday evening at 6 o'clock. Ach ish, and so until the next time, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert de Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Eve, I'm a creeriw, as Ortelier, as my year and shared you.